Welcome to the GS Counselor Conversation on Internet Resources for Career Counselors. I'm joined by a contingent of counselors today. We're going to be going through looking at different resources available on the Internet for the purposes of helping students find their career matches, learn more about them. So what we're going to be looking at today are resources for career exploration, resources for educational exploration, and personality interpretation. In the career exploration field, the My Next Move is the one in which we find at Greenwood Associates the most robust, condensed, and useful, and that's why we tie it into our reports. And you're all familiar with the layout of the reports. You can come in here and look for a different career, and there's always nice, useful information and job outlook and educational information. And I know you're all familiar with this, so I won't go through it in as much detail as I would otherwise. Normally, there is a video associated with the different career types in My Next Move. But as you see here, for the allergist and immunologist, there is not a video. And the videos we find particularly useful when narrowing down career options and informing kids about what a career entails. And those career videos are made by Career OneStop. Now, Career OneStop is where I go when I can't find the video on My Next Move. And for the most part, Career OneStop does have those videos. So if we go to Career OneStop and we go to allergist, you'll notice that there is a video for an allergist and immunologist. Now, both of these are sites sponsored by the federal government, and Career OneStop allows you to take those videos and post them in other places, and you'll see them in a lot of places today. And for some reason, I talked to My Next Move, they don't have the ability to be backwardly compatible with some of Career OneStop's older videos. So there are some times where I need to go to Career OneStop to watch the videos. They have much of the same information, but I don't find it as well laid out. It's not where I go to look for the gestalt of the videos, but it is a place where I will find those useful minute-and-a-half videos that are overviews for careers. Ownit Online is actually the source for most information on the internet about careers. The problem with Ownit is that it is a bit dense. I'm going to go to a nutritionist. So you can look up and you can find the various careers here, but the information is a little less approachable. My Next Move does a good job of formatting it and pulling out what's most important, but it doesn't pull out everything. So Ownit is good to get the actual raw data if you need it. Now, one of the pieces of raw data that we find particularly useful is this education information, and it's not well represented on any other page. But this really shows you how many people have what degrees in a particular field, because they have to categorize a job as being a master's and doctoral level job or a bachelor's level job. And there are just some cases where it doesn't help you, because I'm going to use the example of the geographer. And geographers are in the master's and doctoral column, but as you can see, 43% of geologists only have a bachelor's degree. This is one of the problems too when we run reports, and we might take off the master's and doctorate, but we could be eliminating a lot of jobs for which a bachelor's would be enough. Bachelor's and experience would actually be capable, as is the case here with geographer. So that's good to know that the raw data is in there. Then there are other resources like the Occupational Outlook Handbook. This is done by the Bureau of Labor and Statistics. And this one is very dense. It's a cross between the My Next Move, which is a single page, and the Ownit database, which is, a laundry list of data. Bureau of Labor and Statistics, the BLS Handbook is another place to go to find more in-depth information. So they have videos too. Most of them are Career OneStop videos, so that's not different. But you can see that there are different tabs that you can look at for more in-depth information. So if you had the students, say, narrow it down to their top 5, this would be a good place to send them to get more information about what exactly they do, where they work, how to become one, what kind of pay, what the job outlook is, and so forth. So the Bureau of Labor and Statistics has more in-depth information. It also has more predictive information. They're very statistically driven, so they're going to be looking at occupational outlooks and trends and models and so forth. Here's projections, and so this is a good source of information. Those are the ones that are done by the federal government. The NCBA, the National Career Development Association, is another good source of internet resources. In the resources internet sites for career planners, you will notice that this is where there's more videos. This is where I go when I'm looking for more videos. They also have industry-specific information, and I'll get to that in a second. But the videos, as I was talking about, obviously Career OneStop videos is out there. Careers out there, when you look at this, you'll see from the snippets that it's a little bit, it's very much the informational interview conducted by somebody else. So this, as you were mentioning earlier, Stephanie, if you're having trouble having them actually go out and talk to somebody, then at Careers Out There, this guy on the left talks to a lot of talking heads of people in different industries. So that could be somewhat of a substitute for
face-to-face informational.
And Dr. Kit, same kind of thing, more videos that have a lot of people standing there. The nice thing is that those people are actually, as you'll notice, when they're interviewing this guy, he's actually out where he's supposed to be. And there is some B-roll footage of him doing his job. So it's a little, you can see kind of what they're wearing and where they are. And like I said, a little bit of B-roll. So some of these are good. And then some of them are just Career OneStop videos kind of in the middle of them as well. So things like this film and video editing is a Career OneStop, and so is this museum technician and the fashion design. But they do have augmented with people who are actually welders, and directors of maintenance and so forth. So that's a good source of additional videos. Now, they also do have industry-specific information, and what they've done to get industry-specific information is they have gone out and looked for all of the associations. So the associations, American Chiropractors Association, for example, the associations, one of their charges in their charter is to promote their industries. And so they usually have a robust section for aspiring whatevers. The one that I'll use, I'm going to skip that one. The one that I'm going to use is the Actuary. Theirs is actually particularly good. So the Society of Actuaries actually has a whole tab on future actuaries. And so they say, what's the value proposition? What does it mean? What do you get out of being an actuary? What's a day in the life? What are career paths? What are internships? You can actually find summer programs on this website that will allow kids to go to camp for a couple of weeks and study statistics and probability and learn, listen to actuaries and so forth. One of them, actually, they pay you to go for 6 weeks. Now, it's at a university and they want you to go there to be an actuary later. So you have to, it's one of those situations where they're trying to co-opt you into going. But 6 weeks of studying actuarial science, and that I found for a student through here, as well as a 1 week paid actuarial camp and so forth. So the associations are great places to go, for information. There is another one, careers.org, which occasionally I find useful. The problem with this and others like it is that they're usually sponsored by organizations. So there's a lot of advertisements to get through when you're looking for something. But they do have useful information, sometimes additional videos like this one for physician's assistant. And I'm just using this as an example. So this is kind of a cross between that talking head and, again, it's a person.
Physician assistants are healthcare providers that work with a team of.
So there's some B-roll footage. The production value is a lot higher than they are on, say, Careers Out There where there's a talking head and so forth. So finding these videos, especially when, like I say, they've narrowed it down to their top 5 and you really want them to do a little bit more exploration, these videos can help them, decide whether they an AP biology or the AP statistics or, do an internship in a hospital setting versus more of an office setting and so forth. Okay. So those are some good examples of resources that we use and why we use them for career exploration. For education, there are some sites out there like How to Become, and these are useful sometimes. Again, these are sponsored by other organizations, colleges, and so forth. So you're going to be assaulted with advertisements about, go to this school for, or when you click on physician's assistant, you're going to get an advertisement for some school trying to sell you on their physician assistant program and so forth. But we find that this is a good source of information. Learn How to Become, as well as Study.com. Study.com is a little harder to find what you're looking for because what they've done in Study.com is written a bunch of articles. And the articles are excellent, but there's not really a good search engine for them. We usually find Study.com on a normal Google search, where how do you become an acupuncturist? And Study.com will usually have an article. And as you can see, I mean, if we were to go and just look at one of these, like the biotechs, go ahead.
No, it'll talk about good majors.
Yes.
Undergraduate major programs.
Exactly. So this is a good source. If you're not sure which major they should be in for which program, if you can find an article in Study.com, it'll really narrow that down and help you understand which majors are best for which careers. So then we have Explore Healthcare Careers, very similar to How to Become, but it's specifically designed for healthcare. And, you've got different, if we were to go to medicine, and then related careers. So here's physician's assistant again. So again, more information, maybe if you've got someone interested in physician assistant programs, assigning this as homework, this and maybe a couple videos would just give them more information. Or if you yourself need to know exactly what it's going to take for them to become a physician's assistant, so you can help them design their educational program, Explore Health Careers will help you with the health careers, as Learn How to Become and Study will help you as well. Big Future, I think we all are familiar with Big Future, if you've got a kid going to college, they have the database that we have basically embedded into our assessment. In our assessment, we ask if you're interested in going to college, and if they answer yes, then we ask them a series of questions about, the selectivity or the type of school or the location or the type of housing. So we ask all of these questions, and then we give it back to you on that education page, on that college preferences page. And then if you have that information, you can use this site to then filter the number of colleges that meet that criteria. So this is a direct tie-in with the Greenwood system. General website searches will sometimes yield surprisingly good results. This YouTube was a TEDx that was a student talking about, actually she was a music therapist, and I had a student who was interested in music therapy, and she gave an excellent 15-minute talk on what it is, why she likes it, what you do, how much you make, the whole thing. And the other nice thing is she was young and approachable and animated. So, don't be afraid to just mine YouTube and TED Talks for good information about different careers. The TED Talks are usually more inspirational and usually have higher production values because they're very well, they usually don't get high hits unless otherwise. So that's a good one. If you have a student who is going into the trades, a website that I've been using a lot recently is apprenticeship.gov. This has been a focus of the government recently, and this allows you to find apprenticeships, and I find it most useful for the trades. So if you were to type in electrician in Los Angeles, you would find that there are places that you can send the students that actually have apprenticeships in electricians, and you can apply right on the site. This gives them an opportunity to what they call in this program earn and learn. And so I would recommend this for looking at things. There was also a student we had who was interested in epidemiology, and because that's a government program, there were some things that we were able to find in here that made it useful for her to pursue that as a possibility as well. So apprentice.gov. So then the other thing about education is we think about sending them to college or to some kind of training program. I really want to highlight these massive open online courses that are called MOOCs. And the two biggest MOOCs out there are edX and Coursera. And these courses are absolutely free, and they are taught by professors at the elite colleges in the world. And so I frequently go look for a MOOC, and I use this one as an example. So one of the things the students are excited about is video game design and video game creation. And really, that isn't a single thing. There's a team of people that come together to create video games. And you can actually enroll in this course. It's a free course. It takes 1 to 3 hours a week, so it's an hour a week. Or because it's self-paced, you can do it in 15 hours in a day. You don't have to wait for the next week. These have excellent lectures. They have activities. They have outstanding information. And what I find from my students is they're frequently mining the internet for videos and reading articles, and some of them are plus minus in their accuracy and veracity, whereas I can point a kid with confidence at one of these and know that they're going to be hearing the latest from the greatest professors, and you don't have to take the course. You don't have to take the quizzes.
For an additional $50, you can take the quizzes and then you get a certification. So if somebody was trying to build their resume with some certifications in certain things, for $50, they can do that.
And it's just a little confusing because it says $50, and they get confused about that sometimes. but assure them that they are free as long as they don't want the certification. But these MOOCs actually offer certifications, not just in individual programs, but there are sometimes micro degrees that you can see. This is part of a Series X program. So this and maybe 3 or 4 other programs will actually earn them a certificate, which is recognized in the industry in which they're attempting to do it. So for a few $100s, they can get a micro degree from a MOOC, which is very valuable. So I would direct your attention towards MOOCs as something to offer them as an option, either to learn more about it or to actually get some formal instruction. So personality resources are interpreting the Myers-Briggs and the Holland Code. And one of the ones which we use frequently is Personality Junkie. Now, Dr. Janet Greenwood's on the call as well, and she uses this to its fullest extent. And I'll just go ahead and show them where the careers are. And you start with their Myers-Briggs. And if you've got a student who's, say, an INTP, Dr. Drenth has done an outstanding job of synthesizing what an INTP is, but then also looking at it in combination with their Holland Code. So if you're an INTP and you're looking at realistic careers, here's some great information. Here's great information about if they're more investigative and so forth. So this is an excellent resource either for you to understand the combination of their interests and their personality, or you can share this information with them, and it sometimes makes them feel better because they usually connect very strongly with what is being said in these reports. Janet, do you have anything you want to add to Drenth reports and Personality Junkie?
You know, the only thing that I find that presents a little bit of a problem is the Myers-Briggs. If they express any interest at all in people, they'll come up an E, an extrovert. And a lot of times through the other pieces of the assessment, the Greenwood assessment, I'll see that they're very much, they have an introverted side. So let's say they're an NTP, but sometimes if it's an ENTP, I will also look at the INTP. And so you might, and then when you read Drenth, how he describes them, excuse me, you will see which one they more closely resemble. But that's the only issue I typically find is the I and the E in that. So that's,
great. All right. And I will also direct your attention to page 16 of the Greenwood Manual, where we do have this chart which shows you the heart of types and then which careers match more closely with those middle 2 letters. And that helps also decode personality versus career options. So all of this is in an effort either to study up or to create an action plan. And the purpose of the action plan is to give students actionable items and additional resources to learn more about the careers in which they have chosen. The informational interview we find to be an excellent source of information for our students. But as noted earlier, it is difficult to have students find somebody, schedule an interview, go interview them, or schedule an online interview. All of that is very difficult, but it has great value. So we always want them to try to do that. It is always best if they can actually go to a place of employment, talk to someone in that place of employment. They're just going to get so much more information out of that interaction, out of that experience, than they are from watching videos. But videos can be somewhat of a substitute for those actual interactions if those aren't available. If you're, if you just don't know anyone who's an economist, you can watch the economist interview. The other thing in the action plan is finding those educational opportunities, be they formal coursework or training programs or MOOCs or whatever the case may be. And then there is the experience, encouraging them to go out and get the internships, join the clubs, be on debate, be on mock trial, get the summer job, work for the apprenticeship, look for the employment opportunities. And our template kind of walks you through that, encouraging you to look for informational interviews with their top 4 candidates, to look for coursework and training and programs, and then also to look for internships, volunteer opportunities, leaving extra lines for other things that you find important for them to do to become more acquainted with the field. Basically, at the end of this process, we want them to be more focused on a few career options and to learn more about those career options. And in doing so, they will gain more information that will either confirm their like and their desire to pursue that field, or will give them information that will encourage them to pursue one of the other areas of interest that you've identified as their top couple of potential career options. That's what we have, that we found that those are good sets of resources. Those are the ways in which we try and encourage our students to learn more and to educate ourselves about the different careers. I'm going to open it up to you guys. Are there things that you use that you really would encourage other people to use? Does anyone have any other resources that they want to give a shout out to?
I do. If you have access to the parents, it always amazed me when I did the parent conference that we would go over those career paths and they'd say, oh, so-and-so is in that field. And they could, it's someone that the family knows in those career fields. And they then set up a phone conference. Maybe they can't see them in person, but then the kids young adults feel a little more confident and comfortable with people that are family related. Then the other thing is that I've sent my young adults to professional organizations in the community, have meetings like the Human Resources, that's one I'm particularly remembering. The Human Resources Association meets every, quarterly or whatever. And I sent my young adult to that meeting, and so they got to sit at the table and have a meal with the whole group and see what the professional association was all about. So those would be my 2 inputs.
And I would add to that all of the conferences that the associations put on, they usually have a student fee, and they usually have a track that tries to attract or promote the field as well. So I would add that not just the local meetings, but also the national meetings, if they're in the area, are good places for students to pop in and get some information about that.
Do you happen to have some of those associations like that, the actual association where we can take notes on that? And
yes. So usually I type in Association of Physicians Assistant into a Google search. And the problem with that is you can't believe how many careers have multiple associations there. And so then you're trying to suss out which one is, supreme. That's one of the ways in which NCBA has done a good job in their internet resources section. They have these industry and occupation specific information. When you go into these, you'll notice that they're mostly the association. So here's the Association of Builders and Contractors. Here's the Association of Architecture Students. And they've broken it down into the 16 different career families. So you should be able to find them a little easier through there. But yeah, good question, Stephanie. Okay, well, I wanted to keep this one nice and tight because I know everyone's time is precious. I hope you found use in these resources, and thank you so much for coming today, and
You will post it.
I will post it. Good point. I will send out this list of resources so that you can just use the slides from this to link to the various websites that we highlighted today.
Well, thank you. That was helpful.
Thank you.
Very helpful.
My
Excellent.
pleasure.
Thank you for joining us.